We are back in the shop, and it's time to address the recent elephant in the room, a massive recall affecting over 1 million Wrangler and Gladiator vehicles. There's also some other Jeep news that we want to discuss in today's video. All that and more today in Dirt Road Cred June Jeep News. What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Before we get into the big juicy stuff today, let's talk about some other Jeep news that has been coming down the pipeline and laid in front of us on our desks. Now, this is some cool stuff because it's a lot of questions that you guys have been asking about. Let's talk about some trims that are now available to order. Our entire friendship at the dealership affiliate program has been letting us know all different trims and when they're available and when they're not. But the two big ones right now that are going to be available to order in a 2027 model year is going to be the Rewind Edition and the Rock Slide Edition. A lot of people were asking where the Rewind is, and Ryan and I personally thought that they were going to do the same thing. Hold off until the 2027 model year and then start production for those new vehicles so they can at least get 2027s starting to be sold on the lots. Now, I'm also hearing a rumor that Purple Rain is kind of making its exit, so I think Rewind is going to be the last chance to get Purple Rain on there or any other trims that you see fit. The Rock Slide Edition is also available to order, and that has been one that we've highly anticipated. I think the combination of different Anvil and Earl colors are going to look fantastic on that specific vehicle. And if you guys have been waiting to order either of those, you can definitely click on the Dirt Road Cred dealership affiliate program. It's on our website. Get connected to a dealership, get yourself a good deal on one of these vehicles, and talk to some experts. Now, speaking of that, this is the weirdest thing too, because this is probably one of our most favorite trims that have recently come out, the America 250 edition. Our friends over at Jim Marsh Jeep in Las Vegas, Nevada, we were talking to them on a video call the other day, and Charlene said to us, it looks like they're only able to get one of those per dealership. Unless another dealership backs out, then they can kind of take their inventory, but it looks like you might only be able to get one per dealership, so this could be a limited run on that vehicle. And I would say if you've been wanting to get one, reach out to a few dealerships, try and get your name on the front of the list, and perhaps you might be lucky enough to get one. Now, Jeep could be playing kind of pulling a rug pull there and actually have more of these that they're going to release. But as of right now, that's what we're seeing with that. They're only going to have one per dealership, and that kind of sucks because that was a really cool trim, one that we were very excited about. We're curious also about this Friday. Another Duck is coming out on June 12th. You guys know, of course, we will be covering that one to see what is on there. It looks like some sort of military heritage theme. So we're going to see this Friday. If you guys enjoy this style of content and our wheeling videos and our mods videos, make sure to subscribe. We'd love to have you here so that way you don't miss any videos like that. Now, guys, if you don't know, we are entering into the last 2 months of our Mojave Vice giveaway. This Jeep is going to be ending on August 31st, 2026. No purchase is necessary, but everyone has been really selling us out of everything we carry on the site, as well as all of our great friends that we offer their products on the website as well. This Jeep we would have loved to have out in the sand dunes, but it has been stored cozily here in this garage. And Ryan, we didn't even tell him, we actually paid a couple grand just the other day to get this whole thing ceramic coated and tinted. So you're not only getting this very well done AMW Hemi Swap Jeep, it's also ceramic coated, and you're going to get $10,000 if you are the selected winner. And we've been adding new stuff to our site, including our Dirt Road Cred tactical bags. Now, we've just added these to the site. We pick these up locally here, and our friends over at our embroidery place stitch on all different colors of our logo on here. We're calling this the Dirt Road Cred weekend bag. We actually just used this to go out to Michigan. We drove out, and then we flew back, and I used the olive drab with the rust patch, and Ryan used the khaki here, but we've got 4 different colors. And this bag, I would tell you what, it's great not only to have in the back of your Jeep, it's got a carry strap that's included as well. But if you're looking for a place to store your gear in the back of your Jeep, or just throw kind of a go bag in the back of your vehicle, this is going to be a great setup. We've got a lot in stock now, so pick them up while you can, and you're going to get entries to win this thing behind me. All right, guys, now it's time for the juicy stuff. We were even commented on a couple of our previous videos. Why haven't you guys talked about this yet? Where's the video on this? Well, we just got back from Michigan. We've been fulfilling hundreds of orders, and we finally had some time to come out in the shop and actually discuss the pure elephant in the room, and that is this new recall that has been affecting, it said, over 1 million Jeep Wrangler and Gladiator vehicles. And that's kind of sad because we probably own about 10% of that 1 million. Between Ryan and I and the entire crew here, we've got about 15 or 16 Wrangler and Gladiator vehicles, and we're going to have to go on and actually see if our VINs could have been affected by this recall. But before we get into what can be done, how it's going to be fixed, and what our thoughts are, let's explain what the actual recall is. There's a service bulletin that has been going around. It's investigated by the National Highway Traffic Safety Association, and it was to investigate electrical fires that were starting in the engine bay of Wrangler and Gladiator vehicles. As they investigated further, they found the culprit. And the culprit was a connector on the electronic high-power steering pump that was creating high resistance, and in some rare cases, creating enough resistance which caused heat and started igniting combustible materials, thus starting an engine compartment fire. I believe the number was at about 72 or 78 instances, and there was only one injury linked with this. So when you think about the sheer quantity of vehicles, this is quite low, but it is still alarming enough that they needed to give a recall for these vehicles. Now, what we personally think is happening is there could be a couple different things that are going on underneath the engine bay. So on the electronic high power steering pump, this thing draws a ton of power. If you're not familiar with what this does, your Jeep vehicle needs to be able to turn. Back in the day, they had manual steering wheels where it was a direct connection from your steering wheel down to the connectors and the tie rod and drag links to your wheel ends, and you actually had to crank it over and turn it by hand. Today, in our modern world, they've gotten a little bit too smart for their britches, I think. They actually use an electronic hydraulic pump. So this takes power from your battery, goes down to a pump, spins a pump inside there, which then pressurizes hydraulic fluid. That goes over to your steering box and gives you pressure to turn both ways. This is very different from how it was done many years with power steering. You typically had a front engine-mounted accessory-driven power steering pump that just spun off of your serpentine belt. That created the pressure, and then those lines ran to your power steering box. Very simple, very easy. You could bump up the pressure by revving up the gas. But now in the future, we've got all this new tech. But let's talk about a little bit of what we think is happening. Now, this could be a couple things. We're not engineers. We're just a bunch of Jeep nerds that have been doing this for a long time. This current, or the amperage that is coming down out of your bus bar up top down to this high power steering pump, there is a rumor, and I believe it might be true, that this is constantly getting power. So what we are thinking happened in that connector that plugs in there, either A, this connector is experiencing a higher rate of corrosion than it should be, therefore leading to more resistance, and resistance in any electrical wire is going to lead to heat. That heat has to go somewhere, and unfortunately it's near a lot of things that shouldn't be getting hot. So that's A. B, the connector may be getting a little bit loose over the years. Inside different factory connections, there are different clips and pins that hold it closer to the power steering pump, and if those loosen up over the years, it could also be shaking, moving around, or when you're experiencing different off-road conditions, kind of vibrating, and then once again creating more resistance because it's not getting a solid connection inside of there. Either way, it's very interesting to see this recall come about. Now, there is going to be a place where you can search your VIN. I believe it's starting tomorrow. So June 11th, you're able to input your VIN, and this is from vehicles built, it's 2021 to 2025 model years, but I would just suggest if you have a Wrangler or Gladiator, type in your VIN and make sure that it is either A, affected, or B, not affected. There isn't a complete advisory from FCA that says do not park inside right now, just because either if it is getting current all the time into that, they want to make sure that it doesn't start either overnight or create more of a structure fire, or B, it's the fact that if you've just gotten done from a 2-hour drive or a commute and you've been turning a lot and then pull it into a garage, typically your vehicles stay warmer inside a garage because there's not that fresh or cool wind or air to cool down your vehicle, and they don't want something to happen inside the house. Now, as we are currently awaiting on a solution or a fix to this problem, what I believe is going to be the fix is either going to be two things. It's either going to be the entire connector or harness that goes from your battery area to the electronic high power steering pump, or it's going to be the connector down on the base of the power steering pump, but I do believe that's completely built in, or it might be a combination of both. Either way, it's going to be quite expensive for Jeep when they go through all these vehicles that are recalled, and actually to start phasing through the period that you can come in, get your Jeep fixed, and get this thing recalled. But what I want to say here is something that's a bit interesting, because I know that everyone and their brother that's a car guy, a Jeep guy, or maybe a Bronco lover or a Tacoma lover is instantly going to use this and say, hey, I told you, I knew new Jeeps are junk. This is why I kept my old stuff. You never get rid of this, you know. Guys, it happens with every single manufacturer, Ford, Chevy, Toyota, Jeep, any brand is susceptible to a pretty big recall. So we're not either siding A with Jeep or siding B with the person that's ripping it apart. I believe it's a good thing that they're actually letting this out there and seeing that you can check your VIN and get it fixed. But I do not want this to be an excuse to go in the comments down below and just absolutely shred it up. Now, this is an interesting one for us because obviously we are good friends with those over at Jeep, but they like the fact that we kind of give them a little bit of flack when we have to. We're right in the middle on this one because it is a pretty severe recall, and something like this probably shouldn't have happened. But over the years, after daily driving, off-roading, rock crawling, or even no matter where you're taking your vehicle, something finally gave in, and it might not have been something that they foreshadowed in the future, but it definitely is happening now, and it's kind of how they react now to it, to get your Jeep fixed, to get it driving properly, is what's most important. So, like I said, we're not going to use this one to absolutely bash on Jeep. It is a pretty rough recall to have this many vehicles affected, but there is going to be probably a solution here pretty soon. And if it is, you're talking a small wiring harness and maybe the high power steering pump, that would be a little bit longer if they actually had to replace that and maybe redesign it. But the connection side and the wire harness is not an insane piece. I actually was on, Ryan, I was looking at eBay and some other places, and you can actually buy that. Different connector harness and stuff. So it's not like this one-off proprietary connection. It seems to be like they might be able to get a solution out pretty quickly. Hey guys, we were actually debating showing you the electronic high power steering pump with the vehicles that we have setting here today, but I thought to myself, wait a sec, the Mojave Vice and the Juice, neither of them have the electronic high power steering pump. And if you want to pause this video and show it to your significant other, now is the time to start when you want to convince them to do a Hemi swap. We've got an AMW4x4 in both of these Jeeps, this one here and the Juice up top. And what's so neat about AMW is not only the fact that you get a 5.7 liter or bigger engine, but now looking at this from a safety concern, AMW deletes the electronic high power steering pump. It's completely gone. It's not there. They don't need it anymore. And that's because they go back to the old school, tried and true method that works and gives you more steering pressure, and that is an engine block mounted power steering pump. All you have is a power steering pump mounted on the front of your block. It spins with your serpentine belt, and then two hoses go off of that into your power steering box. The steering performance, Ryan, night and day. You can turn this thing basically with one wheel, even with 37s, one finger on the wheel back and forth. And if you want to avoid this recall and the chance of something happening to your Jeep with your kids and your significant other, I think AMW is a great solution for you. Go on dirtroadcred.com, fill in your name, and reach out to our crisis line. Go on dirtroadcred.com, go in the AMW collaboration side, let them know what you have going on with your Jeep, and if you've been kind of like on the fence, should I do it? I have an older Jeep, I've been wanting more power, and I also want to delete that scary electronic high power steering pump, this might be your solution right here. But guys, let us know down below in the comments what your thoughts are on this. And then furthermore, after tomorrow, June 11th, when you're able to check your VIN, let us know how many people are affected. What was the year and model of your vehicle? Because I believe it was 2021 to 2025. So let us know if yours was affected and when your vehicle was built, if you have that info, or at least what model year, because we would be curious. But I would say, all jokes aside on this, it is important to check your VIN in here. We're all about safety. We're all about seeing if this recall does affect you. So definitely type in your VIN. And I know we joke about it and we say different things here, but this is a safety recall. So definitely get it checked out to make sure you and your family are safe on the road. But until then, make sure to check out our other content. We just got back from beautiful Silver Lake sand dunes out in Michigan. We were wheeling with the team at AMW, had a chance to crest the dunes out there. We got our Jeep in a pretty peculiar situation in the Goldilocks and had a lot of fun. But that's some content that we like to produce. It's so much fun to do. Unfortunately, it doesn't get pushed as hard as the news and the mods videos. So if you guys want to see more wheeling, more off-road content, us as DRC and as a business, we have to make sure that we're getting a good amount of views on this and healthy engagement. This is some of the most fun content that we're able to produce, to go off-roading, to go to Moab, to go to the Silver Lake sand dunes, to wheel locally, but it is some of the lowest viewed. So if you guys want to see more, make sure you comment, you like, you watch that, and you share that type of content, and we will gladly produce more if it makes more business sense. You know, some content like the mods videos, the news videos, they blow up and they really take off, and as a business, that's the kind of content we want to see. We're getting great engagement, we're getting new followers, we're getting great amounts of comments down below. So when it takes a few days to produce a piece of content wheeling, it does get tricky to do when the views are very low compared to the other style of content. But either way though, guys, we're having a ton of fun here. We've got some new products on the website and a lot more to come, but we're going to close this one out. We've got to go inside, and hopefully you guys start picking up these tactical bags. They will be live on the site as you're watching this video, and we have the first run of about, I don't know, what do we have, 50 or so? So they're probably going to sell pretty quick. We've been using the heck out of ours, so thank you guys so much for watching, for all the support. Ryan's behind the camera. I'm here talking to you, and we want you to get out there and earn yours.